All right, hello everybody. I can't remember if I said in my last video that this would be the last game of the day, but now for sure this is the last game of the day. Yeah, getting the black pieces. My provisional rating is starting to go away, so every win now is really important. We're going to follow through with the caro-kann exchange variation. So I was getting these positions kind of with white, and now we'll see what it feels like to get them with black. Maybe they're going for this variation with knight e5. It's an interesting variation. A3. So usually white likes to play bishop d3 and stop that with c3. A3 is a little less, how should we put it? A little less solid. Okay, so I should get my bishop out. I could have played knight f6 as well. I'm going to play for e6. Also, I could have considered playing queen c7 to stop bishop f4. Actually, what we're getting here looks very similar to another kind of position. In the that's so weird. I never thought of it that way. I'll have to show. It's a queen's gambit decline position that I get with black, but reversed. So I'll have to show that as well. I never made that. I never drew that comparison in my mind. So let's go e6. Of course, I could have started with knight f6. My bishop belongs on d6. I wonder if we'll see c4. I'm curious. I'm still going to play bishop d6, and if c4, we can decide whether or not we want to take it. There's no reason, just because I'm afraid of c4, that would be a terrible reason to play bishop e7. The bishop really stands better on d6. I don't want to trade for the knight if I don't have to, so I'm going to back up. Keep backing up. Maybe we'll see knight h4. So I need to figure out what my plan of action should be. I could play for queen c7. g5 is a bad move. I mean, I'm saying that without really analyzing it, but you're giving up some squares here. I should play knight e4, and I should probably take back with the bishop. This whole construction is very weak. You never see g5. Are we really going to see queenside castle? Surprises me a little. What should I do with my queen? What should I do with my rook? And whose attack is faster if we have queenside castle? I wonder if I can stop queenside castling by playing rook c8. Honestly, even with these pawns here, I'm not super afraid of him attacking on the king side because of the strength of my bishop. Without this bishop to attack some key squares here, I think it'll be okay. And I think that rook c8 actually holds him off from queenside castling for the moment because I might have bishop takes c2. So maybe I'll have bishop takes c2. So castle's kingside anyways. Well, that encourages me to follow suit. And now the question is, where is the play for both players? The play for both players. Well, this is very weak. I'm at pawn chain points this way. I could play queen c7 first. I'd like to not allow him to play knight e5. I'd like to get my knight into, actually, he can't play knight e5 without allowing knight to b3. So maybe I'll do this. And I'd be very surprised if he were to, if I put my knight on c4 and if he were to take that. That missing the light squared bishop in this position where all of his pawns are on dark squares, my remaining light squared bishop will be a monster, and I don't see how he can corral it. It would take a huge effort for him to trade his knight for it, because I can very easily sidestep to f5 or g6 as necessary. So oh, you know what? If he goes here, then he can go knight here. All right, no matter. We'll take back with the pawn in that case. Probably taking back with the pawn in the first place was the right move, even if that square wasn't available. But now I just have extra incentive. So what is he going to do? If he does nothing, if he defends his pawn, for instance, I might be able to just liquidate things and take on g5. So if he were to play, I don't know. Actually, I don't see how he does defend the pawn. So, or not ideally. We're not going to see bishop c1, would we? That would be kind of silly. We're not going to see rook a2. That'd be kind of silly. And then otherwise, if you move this pawn, then I take and I win c3. So, really a tough decision for him. I don't like any of the responses. So we do see bishop c1. But man, that's not what my opponent was looking to do. Maybe we're going to see b3 next. In which case, what do I want to happen? This looks like almost a good time for f6. Open up my rook and my queen. If f6, maybe b3. And then my knight comes back to b6. I think it's time for f6. I'll still pre-move this. So now my threat is obviously to take on f3 and then take on g5. If b3, I come back to b6, and that's with tempo. I doubt he'd take here. He might take here, in which case I'll take back with my queen. So if he goes there, do I have e5? What else can I do? I really want to get my pieces involved. Especially around his king. Maybe actually I should have considered this more strongly. Bishop d6 and queen, sorry, bishop b8 and queen d6. That probably would have been even stronger than Okay, well now we see this. Let's go here. So I think queen d6 intermezzo. We're threatening the mate, so we might see f4. And then we can give tempo and then play e5. This is working out pretty nicely. So obviously I'm threatening to take on probably d4 rather than f4. So this was overlooked by my opponent, and now I've won a very nice pawn. I have a very strong bishop. I mean, this bishop's actually not weak either, despite being on b8. A very tough position for my opponent. So at this point, the advantage is almost decisive. If I take this, I just had the strangest feeling of deja vu. I don't know where that came from. Then his bishop gets out. Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I'd rather keep him bottled up with rook e8. I'm strongly considering what would happen if I sacrificed for in exchange, or if I took and then took the two pieces. I kind of, one of those two has to be nearly winning. His king is just so weak. So bishop here, I would do what? It's a knight there. But the problem with knight there, I thought, was that now your bishop doesn't get out. Okay, so now I'm threatening here as well. Maybe you have knight here. But where is your knight going? Can't I just sidestep you somewhere? Like, where should I go? Here? Your knight's attacked. Do you come back to a g3? I could consider bringing my bishop to this square now. It's a very slow kind of way of doing it, but I think that that's going to be pretty decisive. Let's go here. If bishop here, I can just attack this. I can win the exchange. And while I'm at it, I'm threatening the f4 pawn. So if we try to see some sort of repetition here, I'll just take the f4 pawn. Repetition from like knight f4, queen c5, knight g3, I mean. or knight f5 rather. Because this is pinned. And now we have huge problems for white. Well, I say now like there weren't already some pretty serious problems. But this is, I think we're beyond salvation here. I wouldn't be surprised to see a resignation. I mean, I also wouldn't be surprised to see this person play on. It's pretty common for people to just play to the bitter end. But at this point, there's not really much for me to commentate on. So, by the same merit, I don't want to flip back to the beginning of the game and start analyzing while the game's ongoing. So, I guess you can just sit here with me and twiddle your thumbs. Or if this is, since this is going to be a video, you can just skip ahead until my opponent resigns. But if you stay with me, I'll appreciate it too. Question for the audience. How do you think you pronounce my opponent's name? I really hope my opponent isn't just going to sit here. Okay, well, that's... I mean, I can just take this, right? He's got no checks. Even if he goes here, I just take it with my queen. Yeah, how do you think you pronounced Azdyyu? Okay, well, maybe some precision is actually required here. I don't want to drop this accidentally and be forced to retire from my chess career out of pure rage. Takes, king in the corner. Rook f8. Or just take his rook, actually. I forgot about that. He might play on just because of some long distance hope. Me forgetting about my rook. But every move is going to be check. No funny business. That looks like mate. All right, good game. So, yeah, a3. So I mentioned this at the beginning of the game. What was I talking about when I said this is a reversed situation of an opening? What I was talking about was like a d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, a6, takes, maybe knight f3, knight f6, bishop g5, and then bishop e6 is a main move here. We can actually see that it's got quite a few games in the database, including several by the world champion Magnus Carlsen. And if we remember this position for black and flip it, it's very similar to what we get here. The only difference being that I haven't played knight f6 yet, although I do in a second. Although in those positions, I don't think he played bishop e7. We can check that out right here. e3, knight b to d7, bishop d3. He played bishop d6. So if my opponent was truly trying to find these positions reversed, which is very interesting, you wouldn't play bishop e2. Bishop e2 is a bit passive Instead, you would play maybe knight here and bishop here. But yeah, no game is found. Considering that this is a reversed of a position that even the world champion has played, so it should be slightly better than having it with the black pieces. I'm surprised that there's not a single game in the Masters database. I'm sure there must be in the Lee Chess database. There must be quite a few. Obviously scoring decently for black. I feel like most people that end up here, they don't do this intentionally. They kind of find themselves there. But certainly white isn't that much worse. Yeah, it's pretty even. Minus 0.2, minus 0.3. It's minus 0.1. It's like minus 0.3 isn't even better for black. That's even. That's even Steven. So let's flip this back. Yeah, you don't want to take that. But this is very ambitious by white. Actually, I should flip the oh, it's doing this thing. Okay. Yeah, g5, I called that out immediately as a bad move. There's no reason for that. You're making your pawns very weak, and you've just given back both of these squares. I'm surprised that knight h5 is sorry, knight h5. It looks a little suspicious to bring my knight to a square where, like, what would I have done if knight g1? Oh, you just play knight f4. Okay. So I have the square controlled, which means I can come to that square. Otherwise, like, imagine my bishop was on e7, which I commented earlier in the game about, like, my bishop belongs on d6. This is part of why. The bishop is much more active on d6, and if on e7, then suddenly my knight would be without squares and just being picked off the board. As it stands, though, I somehow in my mind I forgot that the knight could actually go somewhere from h5. I didn't want to put it on the side of the board, so I thought knight e4 was active. But in hindsight, for sure, I would have preferred to play knight h5 to f4, which is better than just trading it off on e4. Yeah, I played rook c8 here. Rook c8 was played to discourage queenside castling, but it's also an open file for the rook. I'm curious, if queenside castling, do I have bishop takes c2? Apparently, this is just bad enough that you don't need to do that. Okay, so this actually isn't working. I wouldn't have played it blindly. It makes my reasoning for playing rook c8 kind of silly. But, I mean, nevertheless, the rook was going to come here. Castling's fine. c3. I liked knight a5. I can understand playing f6 right away. I can understand playing queen c7 right away. Knight c4. f6. So on the money there. Yeah, I was also curious, could I have started with bishop to b8? Certainly not a bad move. I mean, maybe not as strong. Actually, yeah, it's dropping a bit. It's a bit ambitious to set this up. This is much more principled. But once we got here, I thought this was actually quite a potent threat. So takes. Wow, just bishop d5. No, bishop d3. Bishop d3 is fine. Oh, you know what? If I just played here first, and then here, and then queen here. Okay, so they wouldn't have f4, but I thought they'd have knight back to f3. So well, let's see this. Let's say, just like for argument's sake, queen d6, knight f3, queen d5. Is there a what's black's threat here? I'm not seeing it right away. Like if we play a waiting move, what am I doing? Queen f5. Okay, I see. Yeah, this is stronger for sure. So I thought I was being clever with the move order, but I missed a better chance. This is still very strong, but I wasn't being clever. I was being too clever. Yeah, and actually, I didn't want to take back right away. I thought that this was I could have done it with the why with the other rook? Maybe because I want to keep my rook. This rook isn't doing anything anymore. This rook is. Yeah, for sure I should have done rook c to e8. That makes complete sense. Okay, looks like there are many ways to win this game, but I think how it ended up was fine. And I did find the knockout blow. So overall, not a bad game. What can I learn from it? Well, I learned for sure that you can get these reverse positions of that Queen's Gambit decline, and that's very interesting. I need to play around with that and see. Because if I already play something with black, playing something with white too, at least in Blitz, I don't know if I'd happily do that with in a very serious tournament game. But it's worth exploring the possibility. Yeah, not bishop e2. And yeah, and knight h5. I can remember knight h5 here. Anyways, thank you for watching. Um, I don't have much of an epilogue here. Epilogue's not the word I was looking for. I don't have much to say at the end here. We're going to keep playing games, work our way up. Hopefully you learned something from this. I definitely did. And I'll see you in the next games.